You're listening to the Slow Ride Podcast. Bikes, advice, and rumors straight from the source. TheSlowRidePodcast.com and on Twitter at TheSlowRidePod. Enjoy the ride.
Yeah, you try it. You give it a go, and then I'll give it a go. We'll see what happens.
Okay. All right. Hello and welcome to the... I don't know what episode it is. God, we need Tim. Is it 53?
It's 54.
54. Hello and welcome to the 54th episode of the Slow Ride Podcast. I am the little guy in Minneapolis. With me tonight is...
Spencer. I'm Spencer Howe in Boston, Massachusetts. That's terrible, little guy. Maybe I should start.
All right, go for it. Try it.
Hello, and no, that sounds like Tim. I don't want to do that.
I can do it again. Let me do it again.
Hi. Welcome to the 54th episode of the Slow Ride Podcast. I'm your host, Spencer Howe, joined by Matt Allen in beautiful Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Hi.
Is that any better?
That was smoother.
Or smoother? Yeah. Well, that's what we're going for.
That's good. Oh, we are?
So now that we're done with the intro,
Okay.
do you want to get right into our agenda here, our Timless agenda? Should we explain what's going on?
We're only going to talk about bike parts and working on bikes and things that Tim doesn't know anything about, right?
Correct.
Okay.
So I know we just started, but how do you feel already, having gotten out a few sentences and not having been interrupted yet?
It feels good. It's weird.
Do you feel like you have your wings, like you're flying? You're learning.
I feel a little stunted because I'm used to having a moment in the middle of my sentence to collect my thoughts, to finish my sentence, and now I have to go from the start to the finish without anyone interrupting me, and I don't know what to do. I've never had to construct a sentence all at one time. You know?
Yeah, it's been a long time. We've kind of been trained by. So, in case you haven't picked up on it, we are two of the normal three hosts this week on the Slow Ride Podcast. Spencer here in Boston, little guy there in Minnesota, and we are without Team Dad tonight. Tim is unavailable. Coach Tim is out of the office. The do not disturb sign is on his door. And
probably is.
So we're running without a safety net here tonight. I
suppose we should start by saying congratulations to Sara, Tim's better half, on completing her degree and proving once again that she is Tim's better half.
That has never really been in doubt, but
it's never been in doubt. But occasionally, she likes to get degrees. Just to drive the point home a little bit.
Just to, hey Tim, do you mind if I hang this on the wall? I'm going to take down this crappy cycling poster you've had up for 10 years.
Oh, does this say?
This is the one he's got. He's got some Jittery Joe's dude from.
He really likes the Jittery Joe's poster.
Tour Georgia poster up on his wall.
I've seen that. It's probably still up. I haven't been to his house in a few years.
It probably
but I
is.
bet you're right. Okay, we're going to talk about real cycling.
Okay.
First, before we talk about our 16-plate contests and Liège Flesh and all that, I want to have a little suspense. I want to hear about Red Hook, because I know you did Red Hook this last weekend, and I know you didn't use tubulars, so obviously it wasn't very pro.
That's true.
But I want to hear how the actual race went. How was it?
So I had this. Well, I'm going to back up. I'm going to move back to this winter a little bit, where I had decided wholeheartedly, with my whole being, not to ride my bike at all in the winter, because I'm no longer in Minnesota. I don't have to ride in the cold. It's I could just wait until March when it was beautiful out and just do my riding then and race crits in June like you're supposed to.
I heard
Minnesota's
Boston's nice in March. It's a lot of
usually.
snow, right?
Usually.
Okay.
So my plan got derailed in
Hmm.
February when I could have been out riding my bike normally, and there was 8 feet of snow here. Anyway, long story short, somehow I happened to be online at the exact time that the Red Hook registration opened, and I was like,
Somehow.
yeah, and I was like, hey, I actually have been meaning to go to New York. This event seems kind of cool, but I've never really like had the chance to go. I should just go spectate. And I was like, well, shit, maybe I should just sign up because I don't know, I'm here. So I signed up and I paid my money and I got in and it sold out apparently in like 2 minutes. So I don't know how I did this, but I got in and and lo and behold, I went to Red Hook last week and I cobbled together a track bike, pulled the frame out from the basement, dusted it off, borrowed some wheels, some clinchers. They were awesome. Uh, I had a lot of stress about what gear to ride because
What gear did you pick?
I've never done a fixed gear crit, and so okay, so the way Red Hook is set up is so many people register that it's impossible for them all to race, right? So you have to do
Yeah.
qualifying heats, kind of like a NASCAR or something or MotoGP, where you do your fastest lap that you can, right? And that
Individually?
yeah,
No,
well
it was in
no,
heats.
in heats. So you're like
Okay.
30 people on the course, and you are basically not racing each other. You're just racing to do your fastest lap, right? And you get 20
Okay.
minutes. You do as many laps as you want, and your fastest one is your qualifying time.
Oh, that's weird.
Yes.
I thought it was just a series of crits till you got to a final crit, but it's like
Well,
it's a race within a race at all at the same time.
it's got a little bit of both because your qualifying time. So the top 85 go to the final.
Okay.
The next, however many, like 85th to 150th, they can all race the second chance race.
Yeah.
And the top 10 of that race get to go to the final as well.
Oh, okay.
So
It's a big final.
it's a big final. Yeah, it's a big event. It was
Yeah.
really a lot of people, a lot of vendors, a lot of professionalism. I made the joke.
Really?
Yeah, I made the joke this weekend that more than once actually that this event seems like what people who don't do bike races think a bike race should be like. Like really, really dialed in, really professional, really like, warm up areas for everyone with rollers and like, like cordoned off little areas for the athletes, like athlete village and all this stuff. And like, it's not really how it is, but hey, it was like a make believe. It was like being in a movie of what a bike race should be like. Anyway, so my qualifying heat, I was in the third qualifying group. I didn't really know what I was getting into or what my tactics would be or what gear I should ride. So after some googling, I, I chose.
What
I
did you choose?
Most people. It sounded like most people were racing last year or the year before. I forget what. Like a 51:15. So
It's a big gear.
pretty much what you'd be racing on the track. Yeah, like
Yeah.
maybe it's slightly tall even for that.
They were doing that for the final or for the qualifier? Because I can see for the qualifier, you might want a bigger gear because you're just rolling it up,
Yep.
you know?
Yep.
And you do a couple hot laps and you take a lap off and you do a hot lap. But for the race, you might want a smaller gear.
Exactly. So this was my struggle and that was
Right.
my strategy actually. I decided
Good. You're a genius.
yeah, I decided I was going to roll a slightly bigger gear than that for the qualifier and then roll that gear for the next race, whichever one I happen to be in.
Yeah.
So I
That's
rolled
a lot of gear.
I rolled a 49:14 because I figured
Okay.
once I get it up to speed, it's fine. Like all you got to do is get it moving, and that thing just goes, right?
Yeah.
And the course was cool. It was super like good pavement. Everything was fine. Like the turns, there was one hairpin. It wasn't really a big deal. A lot of people came to grief there, but I didn't think it was a big deal. Anyway,
Yeah.
my qualifying time was not so good because it turns out most people in the race like hook up with other people beforehand
That's what I was thinking.
and they do,
Yeah.
they have a little group of 5 or 6 and they just rail it, and so they all get
Yeah.
good times. And I'm out there kind of by myself or trying to get on one guy's wheel and like,
Yeah.
so I was struggling. I was in the struggle train and that was definitely due to my inexperience. I don't think I probably, I don't know how much better I would have done, but I could have definitely shaved some good amount of seconds off of my time.
Does it stay together during the qualifier, or does it just immediately break up into like
No,
little groups
it
of 3
blows
and 4?
apart. It blows apart because you got 20 minutes,
Yeah.
and so you could do a fast lap and then do 2 slow laps and then try again for a fast lap, or however you want. And everybody's got different strategies. So there's like half the guys are going fast, half are going slow. There's people everywhere, so it's like.
Are people running into each other then in qualifiers? Because that seems like that's
Not
like
exactly.
practice time on the track, and it's just the scariest time. It's scarier than the races.
It's very similar to actually the warm up time on the track where your guys are just yelling
miserable.
like
Did you hear
hot
stick?
lap, and they're running.
Did
no,
you hear stick?
No.
Oh, really? Because no one's a trackie. Because
No one's a trackie,
Knows there's
yeah.
a stick. Everyone would think there was a stick on the ground, and they'd all jump, start
would.
trying to bunny hop.
Who should stick? Yeah. No, a lot of guys yelling hot lap, to basically meant that they were going to blow past you, so don't move.
I'm gonna just yell hot lap when I pass people on the way into work tomorrow.
Yeah.
Hot lap.
Hot lap.
I gotta go work.
Strava. Kind of the same thing, right?
It is kind of the same thing, I suppose.
So
Okay.
yeah. So
So
I just did the qualifying. I didn't do any of the other events. Last time I checked, I was qualified for the last chance, but I may have got bumped out. I'm not even sure. But I didn't want to do it because I figured those were the sketchy dudes who were all engine and not a lot of skills. So I didn't partake.
was the weather nice? Because I remember I didn't look at pictures. I have also been out of town, but I was out of town in the boonies with no internet all weekend. So, what did it rain? Was it like last year? Was it like last year looked like the worst thing in the world? Like it made me think that is the last thing I ever want to do, and somehow that made you sign up.
Yeah. So it was beautiful. It was like 55, 60 and like pleasant out.
Okay.
And it's on the water. It's actually a really nice venue. It's basically like a parking lot kind of crit, but so perfectly flat, which is great for the fixed gear, obviously.
Yeah.
And it was pretty cool. I probably would have been happy if it rained because I think I could have, would have slowed other people down, and I was already going slow, so it was fine.
Yeah. You know what? I never personally like crits in the rain, but I've thought back over the years, and I think my best crit results are always when it's like it's a little rainy, and I'm miserable the whole time, and then at the end of it, I'm like, oh, it's my best result of the year because nobody else wanted to show up or race.
Yep.
So.
Same with me in road racing and stuff. I'm just like, I don't know if it's from the messengering or what. Like, just like, I can ride around in the rain for 8 hours and be miserable.
You can be miserable. Mm-hmm. So would you do it again?
I would, but I would want to do it with a little crew of people. It was a bit lonely being there by yourself.
Like a wolf pack?
Like a wolf pack. Like a, I don't know. Like we'd have to come up with a cool team name.
You need a cool name. Yeah, you need a team name and a pack of people.
Definitely need some like well graphically designed kits. And probably colorful tires. But
colorful tires. I would probably assume really aero, like thick tubed aluminum frames.
Yep.
Made by Russ Denny, probably.
And we would definitely need some Chinese carbon track wheels.
Yeah, those are the best for whipping around on city streets at 35 miles an hour.
Yeah. So anyway,
cool.
So the event itself was really cool. We're talking about this for a while, so I'm gonna wrap it up. But the event was awesome. The finals, both the men's and women's, were amazing. They hauled ass around that course, and it was good. There was definitely some carnage. It wasn't as chaotic and crash filled as you would be led to believe by all the promos and stuff you see floating around on the internet. Although there were definitely some crashes. The dude who won the men's race was a former pro from Saunier Duval.
Was it Kobo?
No, it wasn't Kobo.
Was it Rico?
It wasn't Rico. I don't think they let him. They might do the Grand Fondo in New York, but I don't think they let him do Red Hook.
Who was it? I'm really interested.
It was this dude. Ivan.
Oh man!
It was Ivan Ravioli. It wasn't ravioli.
All right.
I'm making that
I
up.
don't know
But
him.
it was very
Okay.
close to that. But he was on
Cool.
Sonia Deville in 2005. I looked him up, and
Wow.
and I was like, oh, I don't feel bad about
Yeah.
how my qualifying time looked in comparison to that dude's.
Yeah, he's obviously no joke. Okay.
Yeah. So
Holy cow.
yeah, there were definitely some big teams there, all on representing their weird track bike brands that I've never heard of. I also realized how out of touch with track racing. I don't know if these are track racing brands or if they're just street fixie brands or what, but man,
There's a million.
there's a
Yeah.
lot of aluminum aero track bikes out there that I've never heard of before.
Everyone has started an aluminum track bike aero company.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree. I the same way like when I've been at an alley cat in the last 5 years, I'm like, who makes all these bikes? Where do these things come from?
I don't know. I don't get it. But anyway, so
Cool.
that was Red Hook. Definitely worth checking out. Definitely not for everyone, but if you're ever in the area, definitely go spectate. It's amazing. It's pretty cool to watch. And let's move ahead here. Like let's pretend Coach Tim is here, being like, okay, you guys, moving on. We gotta go. We got a lot of agenda to get through.
We got a lot of agenda. Well, let's talk Flesh Alone then. We did a 16th place contest. I got a lisp there for a second. We got a 16th place contest for the women's Flesh Alone.
We did.
Almost a week ago today.
Mm-hmm.
We've obviously been slow, but Spencer, you have the results.
I do.
Who won that for us?
So unfortunately, the closest guess from all of the 16th place picks we had
Who was it?
was little guy Matt Allen.
Oh,
I know. You didn't
That's
nail
sweet.
it. You didn't get the 16th
No.
place, but you
I was
picked
closest.
you picked 18th place with Elisa Longo Borgani from Wiggle Honda.
But who are we going
Nobody-
to give stuff away to?
Nobody else really got very close. So our education on women's racing, inspired by Mo Bruno Roy on her interview episode, continues. The education continues. Our listeners are gonna have to get a little smarter with their picks. But
Surprisingly, I was the smartest, which I will have to admit, is I am not very knowledgeable about women's racing. I have a lot to learn.
that's
Dumb
very-
luck.
So
I don't
what we decided to do, we had 4 gifts or 4 prizes. I mean, this week from Barfly and from Flat Black Coffee here in Boston. So we were going to give away 2 to the men's race and 2 to the women's race. So we just picked 2 random Twitter picks at random from our women's race to give prizes away to just say, hey, thanks for trying it out, giving it a shot. And drawn out of the hat are at N Swan and at Sick Watts. They both entered.
It's a good one.
That is a good one.
I like that name.
They both entered our contest here and gave it a shot. They didn't win, but they also won. So congrats to them.
That should be our slogan. Hey, we didn't win, but we also won.
Yep.
I like it.
Yep.
Cool. Well, congratulations to you guys, and maybe next time you'll beat me for real.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Probably.
Probably. Did you watch Flesh? Either of the Flesh Alones, men's or women's?
Did I? No, I didn't.
I just watched the finish of the men's.
Okay.
It was kind of how I expected.
Yeah.
An evil man won.
Yeah.
Anyway, Liège, Bastogne, Liège. Who won Liège, Bastogne, Liège? Oh, Valverde won again.
Valverde.
What a bummer. But I gotta say, I gotta take my hat off to the guy. He's probably dirty, but he sure is a good bike racer.
And that's why I hate him. If I didn't know so much about him, I would really like the way he races.
Yeah, he had 2 wins this week, and I if I'm thinking back correctly to Amstel, he might have been on the podium, I think.
Yeah,
So-
well, I mean, he's been there like 100 times anyway, so.
I could have just looked at a picture from a different year.
Yeah.
Who knows? He's ageless, and he's good, and he's frustrating. But Valverde won Flesh and Liège. But who are our 16th place winners? Those are the people that really matter.
So 16th place is a personal hero to you and I from
Hmm.
long ago, long before his sudden downfall, which we may have had something to do with
Well, I mean,
inadvertently.
yeah,
So
personal hero.
the big winner in the race, 16th place, was Gasparato.
Oh, a man who disappears for the entire year except for 1 week. He comes out of a hole and finishes really good. I mean,
Yeah.
he consistently good in this week every year, and then he's terrible the rest of the year.
Hmm.
Has he ever won anything not in this 1 week in April?
Oh, probably not.
I don't know.
Not in
Probably
10
not.
years.
Not since he was a junior.
So Gasparato finishes 16th place. He's not going to join the team. We've got the 16th place team going, but yeah, I think we're not going to extend a contract offer to him.
Probably not.
But we did have 2 Twitter users that did choose him in our 16th place contest, so they
Nice.
will be getting Barfly saddlebags and the flat black coffee, and those are at eJorg and at Kevin Jones, who both correctly chose on the nose Gasparado in 16th place. So congrats
Good
to
work.
them.
He's a good pick. He's definitely a guy who's not quite a top 10 threat anymore, but he's there. It was a good choice.
Mm-hmm.
Smarter than
He's
my
on some random little team now. He was on Astana for a while.
Wanty.
Is that what
He's
he's on?
on-
Wanty.
Yeah, he's on Wanty Jobs. I don't know. Wanty.
Is Lukamans on Wanty too?
Lukemans too. Lukemans and Gasparado are like kind of the same cloth of these guys that were like podium threats like 5-6 years ago, and now they're 16 place threats. And so it's making me think Wanty maybe is making a team just to get their name on this podcast. Could have been.
Yeah, it's true. That would be a smart move.
I have a strange little story very quickly about Liège and
Okay.
my Liège weekend. I didn't get to watch Liège because I was camping, and so I pulled into Decorah, Iowa, and I found some Wi-Fi, and I looked up and I watched the end of the race and went, "Ah, Valverde!" And then I get in the van to leave Decorah, Iowa. There's a roadie coming down the street. He's got a Banesto jersey on, right?
Ooh, I like it. All right.
And I start yapping to Caitlin about how Valverde's on Movistar, and Movistar is basically Banesto from back in the day, and she's like falling asleep. She's like, "This is the most boring conversation ever, probably." So I'm talking about that, how that guy, that's basically the same team, and they're dirty too, and blah 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 blah. And so we drive down the road, and we drive through a few little towns, and then we come into this town of Festina.
Festina, Iowa?
Festina, Iowa. So then I start yapping on and on about Festina and how oh my gosh, now we're in the town of Festina. I just saw a Banesto jersey. It's all the same era of cycling. And Caitlin said something like, well, maybe that roadie was riding from Festina. And then I went on a long story about how, Alex Zula was on Festina. And then he sort of rode away from Festina after getting busted, took his band, got on Banesto, and then podiumed in the Tour.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, that's a story that I've had in my head that doesn't make a ton of sense. But you can see the sort of logic I had and how excited I was with the Banesto and the Festina.
Sure. Yeah.
Anyway.
Good job. I like that.
This is Ryan. This is Ryan. This is Ryan Woodall, Florida's first cyclocross national champion. You're listening to the Slow Ride Podcast.
Let's get back to real news. Speaking of doping, one of your favorite cyclocross racers, Tom Mewson.
Oh.
Tom Mewson.
Yep.
Got cleared of his baby food doping allegations or whatever.
He's in his right shoes.
Yeah.
Like he's always said
true.
since 2012.
He's in his right shoes.
He's in his right shoes. That was my favorite quote from him ever.
So what do you think? Do you think this means that Greg Van Aermont is going to get off? Because he's supposedly in trouble for working with the same doctor.
Well, Dr. Gerber did have him on the good stuff.
He did this year. He rode really well on that stuff. And so did Moosen for a while this year. He rode really well too.
Not good enough to win anything still.
No.
but GVA, he's definitely on the Gerber plan. No, I shouldn't say that. I don't know if he's on the Gerber plan.
We're gonna get in trouble for slander one of these
From
days.
Gerber.
From Gerber, probably. Well, that was interesting. I saw that today. Speaking of slander, did you see the Greg Henderson tweets against Fabio Aru of Astana?
No, I was
I
traveling
believe
all
it's-
weekend, and I'm disconnected from the Twitters.
I think it's deleted now, but he basically insinuated that Aru had a passport case against him.
Aru, our GC Hope from Astana.
Yeah. Because
Oh.
he's sick and he's out. He missed Trentino with a stomach virus.
Is
Now
he
he's missing
air
Rompedy.
quotes sick or?
Well, I would assume because stomach virus, air quotes stomach virus. I don't know what Henderson. Obviously, if somebody has a stomach virus and they miss multiple stage races, we all, you and me and Tim, if he was here, we'd all be like, "Oh yeah, I bet he's sick," and we make air quotes too.
Yeah.
Greg Henderson did the same thing, but he said it on Twitter. And he basically called out Aru and said, "Oh, good riddance, get out of the sport." And now Aru is threatening to sue him. So that's kind of funny. Henderson's deleted the tweet. I looked.
So he doesn't get sued.
So he doesn't get sued, though. I think Aru's already threatened. So I don't know what's going to come of that.
I
Aru's still
don't
not
think
racing, so.
I don't think anything bad can happen to anyone from making a tweet.
No, it can't.
No, that's not a thing that happens.
It just happened to Twitter today.
Huh.
They lost all their money because of a tweet.
Oh, poor Twitter.
Anyway, you didn't see that, huh?
Well, I saw some random rumblings about it, and but I hadn't seen what actually happened, and I forgot to follow up on it, and maybe I don't know. No, I just wasn't really privy to it.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Kind of weird. I don't know if he had, more insider.
I'm mostly scared about your
Peloton
scoop.
knowledge.
You're scooping me on internet stuff, like especially
know.
Twitter stuff.
I'm scooping you on Twitter. That's
freaking
pretty
me out.
crazy.
Oh man, we had a big scoop story actually yesterday. We're recording one day late and without Tim because Tim's been very much delayed by his wife's accomplishments getting in the way of Tim's fuckery. So. So actually, Tim had this big email he sent us yesterday where he got the drop on some very meaty story that we were gonna break here on the Flow Ride podcast first, the first worldwide media outlet to have this information and break it because we
could have won a Pulitzer.
Yeah, we don't care about those PR rules when they send out press releases that things should be kept quiet until a certain time.
We're not the press.
No.
Not at all.
But then Tim went ahead and canceled our recording from last night, and he's not here now, so I can make fun of him. But yeah, we had the scoop on the Ted King retiring. We were going to break that news yesterday. We had to delay until today, and now it's out in all the major media. So Good job, Tim. Thanks a lot. You dropped the ball for us. We were about to blow up and be rich and famous, and now we're just a couple of schlubs in our basements.
What do you make of that Ted K thing? Because I kind of imagine he's retiring because he saw the writing on the wall that he wasn't going to be back at Garmin next year because they're terrible right now, and they're obviously going to clean house.
Yeah, their merger, I mean, any kind of merger, it's going to take some work and some figuring out. I'm sure there's a lot of back end stuff that mechanics and all kinds of different stuff you got to work out, but. Yeah, it's kind of ugly for them right now, and I imagine there'll be a lot of turnover.
I imagine there'll be a lot. I also, have you heard this? I've heard this with other riders, and I'm just sort of like speculating because I can't think of any of the other riders' actual names. The previous Garmin riders, I've heard just say Vaughters isn't actually involved. Like he's not there. Like they've never see him even, or like people saying like, oh, he didn't even call me until September. To mention he wasn't going to renew my contract and sort of stuff.
Right, yeah. I
just heard like rumblings of that.
Mm-hmm.
And that doesn't seem like that bodes well, especially for a team that's the combination of two teams that now is doing terribly. Just having a terrible year. It has to be a pretty stressful scene at that team.
It's interesting, you get rid of all our former U.S. Postal guys, and and suddenly the team's just no good anymore.
Most of them, except Tommy D's still riding. Did you know that?
I didn't actually know that.
I
I've
looked through
forgotten
the
about that guy.
results. I don't even know what it was. A couple weeks ago, I was looking through the results of some race, and it was a decent result, and I was like, Tommy Danielson, really? I thought he was. I just hadn't thought about him for so long.
Just figured he didn't make the cut. Yeah.
I just haven't even seen. I figured they only raced him in the U.S. or something.
Huh.
I don't know. I
That's-
thought he was on their Masters team. I'm not even sure.
He's no gummy bear, like he's not in the news all
Oh.
the time.
Man, Tim called me the other day just to tell me that the gummy bear was looking really good, and he sent me a picture. And he did have some decent results in the Ardennes. I mean, he's moving up. He's getting better. I still don't think he's gonna win anything. But I think also AG2R, they have too many GC riders. They kind of don't have anything to do with. What are you gonna do with Becantor? He's not good enough to be your GC guy, but you're not a schlub of a team enough anymore to just randomly back this guy who's out of shape all the time.
Yeah.
They have Posavio who's flying, and you got the Giro coming up.
Yeah.
And they've got Bardet who's flying right now too.
Yeah, yeah.
And then you've got Jean-Christophe Bernard,
Yeah,
the
he's going to
oldest
be
man
good.
who keeps getting better, who's gonna crush it and win the Tour this
He's
year.
the French Chris Horner, yeah.
He's the French Chris Horner. And the French obviously honor their elders and don't make them ride for Safeway Air Gas. They let them ride on a Pro Tour team and actually partake in the good races. Another reason why the French are doing it all right.
Yeah, I saw that photo. Tim sent that to me as well. And I got to say that the jersey from a few weeks ago was looking pretty tight on the gummy bear, and
It's
and
looking
now
better.
now it's looking like it's not about to burst at the seams anymore.
Oh,
So
poor
that's-
guy. He's probably so hungry.
He
They're probably
is.
not. They're probably not letting him eat.
Well, as
Oh,
Tim likes to say, the gummy bear, he's like the green one. Everybody likes him. So
okay. I don't know what else. I have one more thing I have to say, unless you have anything else to say.
no, what do you got?
I know I have to mention Tintin Rebellin
Oh,
won a stage of the Tour of Turkey.
speaking
and
of
so-
turkeys,
Speaking of our elders who have raced for a long time, he didn't win in the Ardennes like I was hoping a classic win from 2005 would come back. But
God, I'm
he
so
won
glad.
something, and I bet he looks nervous and uncomfortable on the podium. I haven't looked at the podium shots yet, but I'm looking forward to it. I love Rebellin.
He's the only guy that could have won an Ardennes race that I'd be less happy about than Valverde winning. He's the only guy.
I can see that. But were you happy about the guy who finished second, whose name I'm going to mangle now? Ala Philippe, French dude who finished second in
Philippe?
Liège.
Yeah.
That was great. He's
it was
so
great.
young.
Yeah, and that's really good to see. And a lot of people actually made the point of saying, wow, look at how excited he was, how pumped he was, or how angry he was, to have lost to Valverde, and how the passion that he had for it, obviously, and all that stuff, was really good to see out of somebody, so young.
Yeah, I was impressed. He's only a name I've heard and not really seen anything from. And it's to come out. Isn't he a neo-pro? This is his first year?
Yeah, this is his
First
first
full
year.
year?
This is his
That's
first year.
ridiculous.
It
second
is.
in Liège, second in Flesh.
It's
There's
crazy.
some scary fast guys.
Yep.
All right. I don't know what else. If I have anything else to say.
All right, well, let's wrap it up. We'll make it a short one this week because Tim wasn't in there talking about a whole bunch of nonsense.
It's probably still just the same length.
Yeah. Next week we'll have our Giro preview. We'll talk all about the 16th place on 16th stage that we're going to run. We'll start up our Velo Games League for the Giro so I can dominate you guys again like last year where I swept all 3 Grand Tours.
I've been doing research on sprinters. I've been doing a lot of sprinter research, and
That's good.
I swear I can figure it out. I promise.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that sounds good. I like that. That all sounds good.
Just pick one from MTN Quebeca and you'll be fine.
It's true. I'll write all the MTM Quebec guys' names on a wall, and I'll throw a dart, and it's probably the best sprinter in the Giro.
It's probably pretty close. Yeah, it can't be too far off, right?
Yeah.
Should be fine.
Let's
Cool.
see. We have to thank Barfly. and
Oh, yeah.
Black
Absolutely.
Coffee for offering prizes for the Flesh Wallon women's race and the Liège men's race.
Mm-hmm.
And Spencer, I believe you have an outro you want to say.
I do? Oh yeah, outros. Yeah. So thanks for listening. We also we didn't thank BK1 for our intro music and
that's true.
outro music. Thanks to him. And yeah, this has been the Slow Ride Podcast, episode number 54. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you on the next coffee stop. Was that good? That was stupid.
That was pretty smooth.
Whatever. We're going to stick with
Let's
it.
do it. Let's roll with it.
Coach
All
Tim
right.
isn't here. We get to make decisions now.
That's true.
Screw
That was the
you,
best.
Dad. All right.
The Slow Ride Podcast. Bikes, advice, and rumors straight from the source. TheSlowRidePodcast.com and on Twitter at TheSlowRidePod.